Welcome to the channel, my name's Rob. Week 1 of the English Premier League is done. Let's see how we got on, followed by our predictions for week 2. If you enjoy this video, please do like, subscribe and join in. Starting with the Fantasy League, here are the results for game week 1. I managed to get 72, which isn't too bad. The average apparently is 64. I'm a little bit disappointed, I'll tell you why in a minute. But Pickford in goal got 2 points. They actually lost 1-0, so I'm amazed he got 2 points. Alexander-Arnold, 1 point. Luke Shaw, 5 points, that's okay. Estupinan, he got 7 points for Brighton, a good result for Brighton as well, actually. Rashford, 3. I had Saka with 10, he did very well. Anisco, 1. Bruno Fernandes, 3. That Man United game was really boring. However, there was a lot of controversy with a penalty that should have been given that was not given for Wolves. Haaland, I actually did the triple captain and that got me 39 points. And then Mitrovic got 1 point, which is a disappointment. What I'm annoyed about is that on the Premier League Fantasy League, it will tell you if players are unlikely to be playing or if they're suspended for the next game. And as you can see, I had Mbemo. He was down in my midfield to start. However, it told me he wasn't likely to play. He played and he scored a penalty. He would have been in my midfield. Vinicius, who was down as striker, he didn't even get on the pitch. So that has basically cost me 7 points, which is really, really disappointing. So let's see what we're going to change for this week. Checking out how we're doing in the Fantasy League table. SW6FC, Paul Christoph, is sitting number 1 with 82 points. Not a bad start for him. Week 1, 81. 81 for Seahawks. That's Dan. Nicholas, West Ham Nick is on 80. That's a solid start. I'm down in 11th place with 72. Annoyingly, I would have probably been up. What would I have been up? I would have been up to about joint 5th, 6th if I had Mbemo playing. Let's see who is at the bottom. Down in 26th place is Alexander Gavel. Duma Krasnego, 35 points. Oh, that is a bad start. I reckon, do you know what? Those people at the bottom, I know what their problem is, I reckon. They chose Harry Kane to play. And so they lost a lot of points by picking Harry Kane, who would have got nothing. So when we're picking the team, we've got to be thinking about who these teams are playing against. So I think Pickford is a difficult one because they're playing against Aston Villa and my substitute goalie, Areola, they're playing against Chelsea. So who do I think? I think Everton could possibly go without letting a goal in. I think we'll stick with Pickford for this week. Alexander-Arnold, Liverpool are playing Bournemouth. Bournemouth, yeah, they've got a chance of scoring, but Liverpool should win. Shaw is against Tottenham. Tottenham lacking Harry Kane, so he can stay. Brighton, they've got Wolves. They didn't score this week against Man United, but yeah, that's a difficult one. I think those two will stay in. You've got Saka is my only Arsenal player. They're playing Crystal Palace and lacking Wilf Zaha. Arsenal should win that. Mitrovic, Haaland will stay. Vinicius is out, so I'm going to change Vinicius. I'm going to swap him for Mbemo. That was the initial team that I wanted last week, but obviously it said that he may not be around. So that is this week's team. Hopefully they will do well. Let's see how we did last week in the Superbru predictions. It started quite well. That's all I'm going to say. Burnley 0, Man City 3, and I get 3 points for an exact result. Spot on. I predicted a fairly comfortable win for Man City. I think they possibly could have gone away with scoring more, but 3-0 was a fairly safe prediction, I think. 96% of people went for a Man City win, so that's a lot of people should at least be getting some points for that. Then Arsenal versus Forest finished 2-1, and I predicted 2-1, so another good result. Exact again. 98% of people went for Arsenal to win that one. Now I'm happy with this one. Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1. My selection was 1-1. So another exact result. So I get another 3 points. 42% of people went for the draw, and this is what you got to think about with football. It's not just who wins. It's is there a chance of a draw? And I just fancied West Ham. Obviously, this is really heavy on the heart, but West Ham have obviously just signed James Ward-Prowse, which will massively help them. But before this week, they didn't have him. So, and I thought Bournemouth, with their new manager, a little bit of energy, a good result for actually Bournemouth. I think that's a better result for Bournemouth than it is for West Ham. Then Brighton versus Luton. Annoyingly, I did a 3-0, and so I did a 3-goal difference for Brighton. Brighton won 4-1 against Luton. Luton are going to have a really, really difficult season. A really difficult season. But a close one. That's 1.5 points for me there. Then Everton versus Fulham. Annoyingly, once again, I did a Fulham to win 2-1. I thought Everton may score a goal, but it was only 1-0. So 1.5 points again. Another close result. The first load of games, I did really well. It does start going downhill, and I don't understand why I picked this. This must have been a complete brain fart, because I did 2-1 to Sheffield United for some reason, and I don't know why. Sheffield United, no. Why would I do that? Anyway, Crystal Palace won 1-0. Makes complete sense. I know they lost. Maybe my reasoning was they lost Wilfried Zaha, but Crystal Palace is still a better team than Sheffield United. Complete stupid moment from me. So nothing for me there. Then Newcastle, Aston Villa. No, I did not see a result to this extent. Aston Villa did well last year. Newcastle obviously did better, but 5-1 to Newcastle. I get the result. It wasn't close because I did a 2-1. 1 point for me there, which is okay. It's okay. I will take that. Then I did 3-1 to Tottenham. At this stage, they hadn't sold Harry Kane, but they then did sell Harry Kane before the game. So it finished 2-2. Brighton, I think I said this, but Brentford, not a bad team last year. They've got some good players. The only problem is this year they're missing Ivan Toney due to the gambling issue that he's had and being caught. 2-2, fantastic result for Brentford there. They will certainly take that. Then I did 2-0 to Liverpool, but Chelsea are spending money, but once again, they've only just started getting the players in. So Caicedo, he's just signed for them. They're probably going to take Lavia from Southampton, my team, which is another really kick in the teeth. But a 1-1, that's probably a good result for Chelsea there for sure. Man United 1, Wolves 0. I did 2-0 to Man United. As I said, it should have been 1-1 because a dodgy referee decision that even referees have come out and apologised for this morning as of filming. So yeah, not too bad. Ups and down results this week, I think. The leaderboard is quite good for me to start off with, at least. Anyway, it may go downhill, but let's have a look. Johan Mustang is the golden hat today. How many exact results? Did very well. 3 exact results for him there. I got 3 exact results as well, but I think that Sheffield United game really messed me up. But I am sitting in 3rd at the moment. Let's see how everyone else is doing. Obviously, Kev, how did you do so bad, Kev? That is awful. Even if you don't know much about the Premier League, you could literally pick the favourites and do okay. So, a good start for me this week with the Superbru. Let's get picking for this week then. Friday's the first game. It's not the greatest game for a Friday night game. At the City Ground, Forest versus Sheffield United. Actually, for the majority of the game, Forest did not look that great against Arsenal. However, I think Arsenal went into cruise mode and just let slip a little bit, which allowed Forest to score. I can't see Sheffield United winning this because I think Nottingham Forest spent a lot of money last year. Yes, they've let some players go, but they still have a decent enough squad that I think shouldn't get relegated, whereas Sheffield United probably are already getting ready for life back in the Championship. So I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. The first game on Saturday, I should say that, it's all 3 o'clocks, at Craven Cottage, Fulham versus Brentford. It's a difficult one because actually if you look at last season's performances, both teams finished roughly in the same area. Both teams had fairly solid performances. Brentford, I think, probably did better. This is a difficult one. A really, really difficult one, actually. Fulham only won 1-0 last week. Brentford 2-2 against possibly a better Spurs team. Oh, this is a difficult one. I think I'm going to go 2-1 to Brentford. I think Brentford should have enough to win. Anfield, Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Liverpool are in a bit of a rut at the moment. They've lost out to Chelsea on Caicedo and probably Lavia. They're not necessarily getting the signings they want. Bournemouth, plucky. Their odds are not in their favour though, and I think I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. It may end up more, but I think with Bournemouth at the moment, they're playing fairly attacking football. That's the style they want to play. So I think they will at least get a goal. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. Luton versus Burnley. Both teams come up. It's at Kenilworth Road, which is a bit of a fortress. It's been postponed, this game. So technically, this game is not happening this week. But I think I'll put the result in anyway. I actually think Luton will win. I'm going to go 2-1 to Luton. This game is not happening at the moment because the stadium is not ready, and Burnley didn't want to switch the fixture around. So that game is not happening yet. But I'm going to go 2-1 to Luton. I think Luton have got the excitement around them, and it's at Kenilworth Road. Molineux, we have Wolves versus Brighton. Yes, Wolves should have had a penalty in the last game, but Brighton are playing fantastic football. They're continuing on from last year. They've sold players like Caicedo, but as the manager has said, these bigger teams can take their players, but they can't take their spirit. So Brighton do play with that spirit. I'm going to go 2-0 Brighton, I think. I know it's at the Molineux, but Brighton are a very, very good team at the moment, and they've got that attitude around them that allows them to win games. Then, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or is it the London Stadium? I can't remember what it's called now. Tottenham versus Man United. It's, I can't see Spurs winning. Look, Man United scraped through. They scraped through against Wolves, but I just cannot see Spurs winning. They don't have their goal scorer. Unless they sign someone in the next week, I just can't see them winning. I'm going to go 2-0 Man United. I just don't see Spurs winning this. Then Etihad, Man City, Newcastle. Now this is a really, really interesting one. You've got Man City that come off the back of a 3-0 win against Burnley, but Newcastle come off a 5-1 win to Aston Villa. Are Newcastle going to be able to perform an upset? I don't think so. I know Newcastle are performing so well at the moment, but Man City's Man City. And yes, look, I could look at this next week and you could have Newcastle winning this. But look, it's at the Etihad as well. Man City's home. It's a really difficult one, and this should be the game of the week. It's Saturday night football actually as well, 8 o'clock kickoff. Why would it be an 8 o'clock kickoff? That's stupid. I'm going to go a 3-1. 3-1 Man City, but that is a really difficult game to call. Aston Villa versus Everton at Villa Park. Villa Park, fun fact to you, is my first ever away game. Many, many years ago, Southampton versus Aston Villa, or Aston Villa versus Southampton. It was one of the worst games I've ever watched. Southampton didn't have a single shot. Not even on target, they didn't have a single shot. Worst experience ever. Aston Villa versus Everton. It's got to be Aston Villa, right? I know they've come off a back of a bad loss. Hopefully that will give them enough to give them a bit of a fight in this game. I'm going to go 2-0. I don't even see Everton scoring. 2-0 to Aston Villa. Just Everton are poor, aren't they? They really, really are. West Ham, Chelsea at the London Stadium. Oh yeah, Tottenham is the Tottenham Stadium. West Ham is the London Stadium. Not a great place to go to by all accounts. West Ham versus Chelsea. Chelsea will be bolstered, won't they? I'm going to go... I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea. West Ham will score a free kick for JWP, from JWP, James Ward-Prowse, Saints legend. Very disappointing. Every time I talk about West Ham, it's going to be painful now, just so you know. But I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea. They've really bolstered their team. They are spending money. They ain't going to get away with fair play in the year's time, but they're spending money now. Then Monday Night Football, Crystal Palace, Arsenal. There is no reason, I know it's at Selhurst Park, which I had an amazing away day one year. Crystal Palace should not win this. I'm going to go, but they're not Arsenal aren't scoring loads. I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal. And those are my picks for the week. We've got 2-0 Forest, 2-1 Brentford, 2-1 Liverpool. A lot of twos in this. Luton 2-1 against Burnley. Wolves 0, Brighton 2. Man United 2-0 against Tottenham. 3-1 for Man City, but that is probably the game of the week, I reckon. Aston Villa 2, Everton 0. West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. And Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 2. They're the picks for the week. Please do, if you haven't already, go and quickly join. We've only had 1 week gone. Join the Premier League fantasy team and join the Superbru score predictions. We are going to be doing it every week for the rest of the season. So stick around, have some fun, and join me and see if you can beat me. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.